last year. So to make you enjoy it, the funny part comes all the way at the end of the story, which is about 75 minutes. So the first 73 minutes are excruciating, but it gets kind of funny for a minute at the end. So I hope those seats are comfortable. In order to give you maximum enjoyment, I have to give you some historical context. I have to roll the tape back to 1960. No, this is not the History Channel. It will get to the present fairly quickly. Anyway, in 1960, Iris meets Paul. Iris would be my mother, Paul would be my father. To the left of Iris is Joan Baez and a wall. To the right of Paul, my father, is Fox News and a wall. And so they are diametrically opposed on every single thing except maybe alcohol. And so they both liked alcohol. They were both career-driven, super intelligent, good-looking, hard-working people. Neither one of them ever wanted a kid. They met at a mixer in 1960, and I bet it was my mom who put the move on my dad. Something like, hey, you fascist, let's do this. And they find the proverbial bed of hay, they roll around as you do, and I become the proverbial bun in the oven. As soon as Iris is notably pregnant, they get married for appearance's sake. And my mom was probably caving in due to her Catholic anxiety. And so in 1961, early in the year, I arrive. As soon as I arrive, I hate you more, and they get divorced. I spent the rest of my life up to age 18, 5 days a week in my mom's microscopic apartments in the northwest quadrant of Washington, D.C., and 2 days a week with my dad for the 48 hours of fear. Both of them drank. Both of them were abusive, but the soundtrack was better with Iris because she liked really good music. My dad didn't like any music at all because black people used to make it. And so it was an awful existence. And my mom, I think her alcoholism, I think her misery desired company. And so she dated one abusive alcoholic man after another. And some of them were pervs, and they would perv out on me. Don't worry, I'm fine. Joe Strummer and Joey Ramone saved me later. But what I'm saying to you is, those early years were absolutely terrifying, because when the adults in the room are out of control, you don't have any adults to talk to about what is going on. And so my mom would often get very irrational. She'd be slinging back the gin and tonics and reading really beautiful literature, looking at art books, listening to Coltrane, and like throwing dishes against the wall, and I would start to tremble uncontrollably. And so she'd freak out. I'd run to my room, close the door of my microscopic bedroom, and listen to Beatles records, who I adopted all 4 Beatles as my alternate dads, especially Ringo, because he just seemed like the most approachable. The rest of them were like pretty agenda-driven, but Ringo seemed like he'd hang out. Anyway, I would come back quite often from the 48 Hours of Fear, and there's my mom having a Linda Blair freak out in the living room on the shag carpet. It's the last century after all. So she's drinking, smoking, smash, crash. I start trembling. I'm like, what did I do? Nothing. She's just nuts. And so after one abusive boyfriend after another, and many awful nocturnal visits and beatings, my mom somehow finds a nice guy. I believe it was around 1977. And he's a guy named Les. And Les is really friendly. Les has no hair, so he grows really big sideburns. And Les had a uniform, like sport jacket, turtleneck, and corduroy pants. And Les's entire metabolism is like this. Oh, wow. Far out. And my mom, yeah, I'll say it. And there was the weirdest pair. When I come back from the 48 Hours of Fear, and there's my mom flipping out on the shag carpet with Les just kind of passively watching. I'm like, and I start trembling. Henry, no need to freak out. Iris is just doing her anger thing. She's running her anger tape. I'll do anger with Iris. And he gets up and he stands next to my mom. Oh, anger, wow, far out. This makes my mom super angry. Henry, come on, let's do anger with Iris. I'm like, anger, I don't know. Somehow, Les is able to neutralize the Iris, and she would calm down. At no time did I ever see Les drink anything more than like a quarter of a glass of white wine with salad at dinner. He's just not a drinker. What his attraction distraction to my mom was, I have no idea whatsoever. In 1979, I graduated from high school, barely. I think they just wanted me out of there. It's not like I was a good student. And my mom and Les get married, and that's when I meet the daughters of Les. She's got 3 daughters from a previous marriage, and they see me for what I am, a hyperactive, nervous, very angry, confused young person, and they were nothing but merciful. Very nice people. And so they get married. I leave. I'm in the minimum wage working world, and I'm working away, and I never want to see or hear from any of these people again. My mom, my dad, the crazy people they married, anyone they're related to, I want to be done. But Henry, they're your parents. That logic, that kind of Western idea, like, even though they're horrible people, you must keep in touch, I think that's screwed, and I don't subscribe to it. And so I just wanted my minimum wage life where I'm going to end up being like a Bruce Springsteen song. He's working, and he's eating bad food, and he'll be dead by 33. And I'm working eventually in the summer of 1981 at an ice cream store called Haagen-Dazs, and I'm scooping ice cream. I'm the head manager of the store, $3.75 an hour, and I see the dead end of my life. Like, this is it. I'm going to be bagging groceries, parking cars, schlepping for the rest of my life. Hard on the back, hard on the ankles. The diet I can afford is top ramen noodles and beef and bean and cheese microwavable burritos from 7-Eleven up Wisconsin Avenue from the store. And go back to my apartment that's hot in the summertime, cold in the wintertime, that smells of my roommate's really low quality marijuana. This is my life. And then halfway through 1981, some band called Black Flag noticed me. And they said, Henry, you are a very crazy person. I said, bingo! And they said, why don't you audition to be the singer in this band? And I'm not a tough guy, I'm not brave, and I was used to a life of intimidation and told, you suck. And so I gathered up my non-existent courage. I said, I'll be there. And I went up to New York City on a Amtrak train, and I auditioned. I didn't even know the words. I just grabbed the microphone and jumped up and down like an idiot for 90 minutes. And they went, you're in. And I leave Washington, D.C. with a duffel bag and 6 $20 bills in my pocket, take an overnight Greyhound bus to Detroit to meet up with the band several days after I made the audition. I had to quit my job and do all this stuff. So I arrived at a place I believe is called Clutch Cargo's. I think it's gone now. It's like a parking lot. And I walked into Clutch Cargo's, and then I'd beaten the band there. They're limping in from someplace. And I get there in the afternoon, and the woman behind the counter, behind the bar, says, may I help you? And as a declarative sentence, I had never said this to anyone before in my life, I said, yes, ma'am. Born and raised polite. Yes, ma'am, I'm the singer in Black Flag. And I didn't even believe it myself. It was so weird coming out of my mouth. I thought she was going to go, get out of here! And she went, oh, that's great. Would you like something to drink? And I said, I'll have a Coke, please. And I walked up to the bar, and I got the typical bar Coke. No carbonation, half water, half syrup, with one lonely ice cube floating at the top. That weird stirrer straw thing. Like, I was trying to make it work. It never works. And I'll never forget this. I grabbed the plastic cup, and I hoisted the Coke up to my mouth, and I had a sip, and I swear I thought this exact thought. Free drinks? Oh yeah. Like, this is gonna be great! And about 2 hours later, Black Flag's filthy white van pulls into the parking lot. I run into the parking lot with my duffel bag, my tail is wagging, there's my new bandmates, and they get out, I go, look, I made it! And that's when I realized no one in Black Flag smiles. No smiling. And one of them says, do you have any money? And I pulled out the $620 bill. I've got the, they robbed me in the parking lot. Hey! What's in the duffel bag? Why? Clean clothes. My duffel bag was open, and my clean clothes were redistributed amongst my feral bandmates in a matter of seconds. And that is why, if you go online and look for photos of me with Black Flag in the early time I joined the band, you will see Greg Ginn and Chuck Dukowski in the same shot, both wearing Haagen-Dazs shirts. Those were not gifts. That was theft. And so, my mom finds out I have flown the coop, and I'm now in Los Angeles, and I didn't tell her. I wanted to leave no trace. But she finds out, maybe the news or something got to her, and she insists on coming to see Black Flag every single time they come to Washington, D.C. And so we go rolling through there every few months. We were like the shark. We just keep orbiting the United States. If we don't play, we don't eat. And so we play Washington, D.C. like we lived there. And so after the show, there's Iris and Les in the doorway to give us their after-action report as to what they thought about the night's the insane show. And I'm watching them hurtle into senility, like one tour at a time. Les looks the same, but his metabolic rate is radically decreasing. Iris has the same intensity and speed, but she's getting smaller. And so there they are in the doorway. Oh, wow. Far out. You really ran your anger tape tonight. Where do you think I got it from? You bring Iris with you? Yeah, she's down in the fiber of the carpet somewhere. She said she really liked the show. And he puts his finger over the carpet. You see Iris do like 2 flips up into the air, land on his index finger, 2 backflips, and lands in his breast pocket. Far out. We'll see you next time. Anger. Wow. And they would leave. And this happened all through the 80s into the 90s. And somewhere in the 2000s, Iris and Les are now 411 years of age, and they're getting up, they're like, hi, my name's Pancake. Like, they're getting a little far out. So one of the daughters of Les comes up with an idea. She's living in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's going to import Iris and Les and their stuff to Philadelphia so they can live in an apartment where she can keep their eye on them. So in case someone falls in the shower and breaks their hip, the other one doesn't even know the other one exists at this point. And like, we don't want any old folks in pain. And so she took the big move of transporting these 2 ancient people to Philadelphia so she could do the right thing. And so now they're coming to my Philadelphia shows, and now they're older than candle wax. Oh, wow. Far out. I think I slept through most of the show. I probably liked it. We don't drive anymore, because far out, senility. We'll come and see you next time, if we're still alive. Iris? She said she doesn't remember who you are. Until next time. Unless there's death. And so, they're not living in Philadelphia, and they will not die. Go to 2018 December. I'm in Vienna, Austria, on a tour. I'm in a hotel room. The show is over bright and early the next morning. I'm flying to Germany, and I have to finish. That tour finished in Kiev, Ukraine. Interesting. And the night before was Moscow, Russia. Even more interesting. Anyway, I get an incoming phone call from a woman who's been hectoring and emasculating me. It'll be 27 years next month. Its damn name is Heidi, and she helps me run my company. She manages me. She's the smart one, and we are really, really good friends. However, she never calls me with any uplifting information. Hey, Henry, you're okay. She only calls me like, you're an awful person, or like something bad has happened. So it's like 2:18 in the morning, and I look at my phone. It says, Heidi, this can't be good. Hey, Heidi, what's going on? Henry, where are you? I'm in a hotel room. It's 2 in the morning. No, I'm at the disco. Yeah, I'm in a hotel room. Henry, your mother has just suffered a massive stroke. Humans are complex, have you noticed? People take in information in all kinds of ways, and they react in all kinds of ways. I don't know why. I didn't find it funny. I laughed uncontrollably. And so I'm laughing, which only makes Heidi really mad. So she's screaming at me, Henry, your mother just had a stroke, and you're laughing! This only makes me laugh more. And so now I'm like in the fetal position, barely able to breathe. And I think she just hung up on me. I'm anyway, she doesn't die. Like, stroke, nothing stops this woman. And so a little while later, as you know, COVID came to town. And back in those days, there was a president who thought it'll all be over by Monday. If you keep the non-whites in that cruise ship off the coast, by Monday it's going to be gone. Maybe by April it'll all be gone. And like, here's some bleach, get better. And so he was wrong. And the pandemic went, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to kill them all. And the pandemic went a-ripping around the United States, and it gets to Philadelphia. It finds the apartment building in which Iris and Les live. It finds Iris and Les. COVID hits Les. Kills him. COVID hits my mom. Ba-ding! Nothing stops this woman. And so Les sadly dies. A few days after, and Iris doesn't even know he's gone. Just wandering around. Whee! having a great time. I get an email from one of the daughters of Les.
Henry, Les has passed away. I'm sure Heidi told you. We have cremated Leslie, and we're going to take him down to Washington, D.C., to Rock Creek Park,
Which is a beautiful park that goes through the Washington, D.C. area.
and we're going to take handfuls of his ashes and place them underneath trees where Iris and Les used to like to hike and look at birds. They're very much big into the birds. And as you know, Henry, when Iris would see a brightly colored bird in a low branch, she would often use her claws to run straight up the tree and eat the bird whole. She always was a resourceful predator and always looking for alternative sources of protein. And so we are going to have a thought and prayer circle before we distribute the ashes to give our thoughts about Les who's passed away. And we consider you to be family, Henry. And we'd like to know if you'd like to come.
And these women who I've known for a long time, they've always been nice to me, and I always believe in being polite to people who are being polite to you. So I wrote back, I said, hey, look, I can't make that, but let me say that, your dad, Les, was always really kind to me. Like, he's a good guy. And, I don't know what you know about me, daughters of Les, but my mom dated some real duds. And, she got it right the last time around, and that was Les. And so, I'm sorry he's gone. I hope you're okay, but I can't make that thing. And so, life goes on. And a few months later, Iris suffers a series of mini strokes. Ding, 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 ding. Nothing happens. She gets COVID a second time. Ba-ding! Nothing. God will shake this woman. She's now famous in her apartment building in Philadelphia for being that tiny woman who wanders the hallway, stark naked, knocking on people's doors saying, help, help, I'm being held hostage. I'm like, that's pretty rock and roll to me. And so, but she will not die. She's like 901 years of age. And so in summer of last year, I'm in Nashville. I take my mighty Mazda 6 to some parking lot, shopping mall. Mission, go into the Home Depot and buy a rake. Why? I've got a lawn, there's leaves, I can rake the leaves. This is how exciting I am. And so I emerge from the car, dead set on buying a damn rake, when I get an incoming text from the Heidi. Henry, I don't know where you are right now, and I know you always say that you're angry and half made out of plastic and you don't have a life, but Henry, I need to tell you, your mother has just passed away. What I'd like to do is get on the phone with you and use the FaceTime application so we can see each other's faces and talk about your feelings about your mom who has just died. And I texted her back, no time, about to buy a rake. And I said that, knowing it will make Heidi really mad. I mean, there's nothing I can do to bring Iris back to life, so let's have some fun. Knowing this will make Heidi's condition even more exacerbated. She writes that, Henry! Like, if anyone can yell by a text, it's Heidi. Like, you read the text, like, your face hurts. She's so intense. Henry, your mother has just died. We are getting on the phone and talking about your feelings right now. I'm going to call you. Heidi said, I'm going to airplane mode. And I turned the phone, bought the rake, got back to the house, took that sucker out and raked for a while. I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Forgot to take the phone off airplane mode, and I just went back to work. And I kind of forgot my mom had died. Like, what am I going to do about it? And then I remember about an hour later, like, oh, the phone. And I turned the phone back on, and it's like, ding, 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 all these texts. How dare you turn it on? And she calls me, Henry! I'm like, you caught me. Let's talk about your feelings.
I don't have any.
Henry! Everyone has feelings! Not me or my dad. Henry! And so I said, oh look, it's 1,600 hours. What does that mean? Time to go to the gym. Henry! Airplane mode. And I left. And I went to the gym. It's 1,400 hours. I gotta go. And so I go to the gym, and I come back, and finally Heidi and I had a big talk about my feelings, which I don't really have all that many of. And so a few days after my mom dies, I get an email from the daughters of Les.
Henry, we are so sorry about what happened. You must be paralytic with grief. We have taken a great liberty not knowing your spiritual or religious beliefs. I don't have either. And taken your mother and had her cremated. She's now in ash form in a plastic vase.
It never once occurred to me to dispose of Iris's body. I just figured you roll her up in a bed sheet, slap an obey sticker on her, put her out at the curb, and by morning she's gone. It's Philadelphia, a lot of moving parts in that city, right? People trying to get somewhere. Anyway, I wrote back, I said, thanks for incinerating Iris. Do I owe you anything? Venmo me. And she said, no, cost. So Henry, we have your mother here. Give us any address, and we will FedEx your mom to you right now. Which is ghastly to me. The idea of like, here comes your mom, she's in a box. Weird. And so I get all my mail at a UPS mail delivery place. And so I go on tour a lot, and I buy a lot of things mail order, so there's always a pile of mail, and I'm not around to get it. I don't want the raccoons to eat it. And so if I knew I was getting a FedEx, I would report to the mail pickup place around 2 p.m., knowing that's around the time that FedEx seems to drop off in my neck of the woods. And I'd walk in, and there would be the box of my mom's ashes on the counter. And the guys behind the counter know me, and they're like,
hey Henry, this just came in for you, but it's not like your usual thing of like 7-inch records, 12-inch records, and ancient punk rock posters. This is just FedEx. I mean, you don't get FedEx, man. And it's really heavy. I mean, you're an interesting guy. We're all curious. Do you mind telling us what's in the box? I go, you want to know what's in the box? Well, yeah, we do. No problem. Pick up the box, put it up to your ear, and shake it. What? Pick up the box, put it up to your ear, and shake it. Okay, man, whatever. What is this? My mother's dead. Ashes. Yeah, you weirdo, get your mom and get out of here! And so, what can I do with my mom? Well, here's a lawn she'll never see. What? I'm telling you, there's nothing to do. And so I wrote back, hey, you know what? You and your two sisters are kind, decent, ethical people. I'm sure you'll find something to do with my mom's ashen remains. Thank you so much for putting that offer out there, and thanks for getting rid of my mom. And so I send that off, and I go back to work. Several days later, I get a group email for a whole bunch of people. Hey, family! We have decided to make a family trip from Philadelphia down to Washington, D.C. to go to Rock Creek Park with Iris's remains to put them where we put Les all those months ago so they can be together forever in field and stream. And we want to know if you want to be part of it. We're going to have a thought and prayer circle and hold hands and talk about our memories of the dearly departed Iris. And I wrote back, I can't make that. And again, thanks for cooking Iris. And have a great time in a beautiful park that I grew up in. And so I send it away, and I don't think any more about it. And so I get an email from one of the people in the chain, said, are you going to go to this thing? I said, absolutely not. It's 3.5 hours. I'm never going to get back. And so months go on. I'm back on tour. It is now the end of the year, and I'm in Washington, D.C., visiting for the first time since COVID's where I come from. I really like it there. And I meet up with someone who was at the event. And he says, would you like to know what went on with the distribution of Iris's ashes in Rock Creek Park? I said, no, and he insisted on telling me anyway. And so he said, I'm going to take a big fat guess. And I'm going to guess that you never read any of the subsequent emails that came in after the initial invite. I said, I deleted all of them. He said, I knew it. So here's what you don't know. At great expense, the Daughters of Les sent your mother's ashen remains to a company that puts the ashes into little jelly-like bags, so you can throw them into field and stream, and they will biodegrade and go eco-neutral into the soil and the water, and no fish, acorn, squirrel, or tree will be thus offended. So there we are in a circle holding on to bags of your mother's ashes, and everyone is sharing their feelings. And now that everyone's grown up, the Daughters of Les have daughters of their own. And apparently one of them was really bent out of shape, and she's got a fistful of my mom, and she's screaming at the ashes, I hate you! I hate you! I was nice to you, and you were always mean to me! You're an abusive alcoholic! I hate you, Iris! Grief is intense. And so I just say, you feel it in your own way. Rumble, young person, rumble. And so the feelings part were done, and now they're inside of the park, putting Iris where Les now hopefully still is. And I don't know what you do with a tea bag of kind of a weird jelly-like material with my mom's ashes. Do you place it gently at the base of the tree, or do you attempt to save time and just throw it?
And so, if you throw overhand, isn't that kind of callous, like no death? If you throw it underhand, doesn't that kind of like undersell someone's life, like death, whatever? Or maybe you decide, screw it, death comes our way, like let's have some fun. Right? And so eventually, all of the ashes that are supposed to go into the park are done. And this is the funniest thing I heard last year. And so now the bereaved are lining the bank of Rock Creek Park, about to throw my mom into the water like they did with Les all those months ago. So now they are throwing my mom into the water. What they could not have anticipated was by doing this, they have activated the interests of a bunch of wild ducks. You see, people who could be picnickers throwing things through the air could be chunks of a sandwich, and they've seen this before. And so the ducks assault the water to get what they think are food items. And you're hungry all the time, but think about a duck's hunger. It is a Darwinian hunger. It is a hunger driven to make more ducks. So it's a hunger that has fear. I must eat or I can't make baby ducks. The world needs baby ducks. So these ducks are not casually going after the bit of what they think are sandwiches. They are like knocking each other out of position. It's a duck riot. And so Iris is dense, and so she falls underneath the water and goes downstream. The ducks now submerge, looking for food acquisition. They see Iris. They acquire Iris. They come smashing through the surface of the water, triumphant, with a mouthful, a beakful of my mother, as they vigorously try to work my mother down their long necks using gravity and throat muscle manipulation to get my mom into their digestive tract, and to do what? To get more chunks of my mom. Eat, consume, consume, consume. The bereaved are horrified when they see that they're feeding ducks the ashes of a dead, abusive, alcoholic woman. And so they stop throwing, and now they are yelling at the ducks as if you could launch it with a duck. Like, no! False flag! False flag! Abort! 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 And the ducks don't care. They probably think they were hoping the ducks would start Heimlicking each other. Ring! Thanks, Les. Ring! And so, no! And so the ducks say there's no more food. Like, wing! And they get on the wing and they leave to go find food somewhere else. And you know how food goes through waterfowl. It goes in one end and it comes right out the other, apparently, at a great deal of speed. And so, the great mystery of the end of Iris's life will be, where did she end up really? Because now that the ducks are on the wing, and food in, food out, and Iris goes airmail, using the demands of gravity to hit the windshield of some guy in a car going to K Street to screw you even harder this time around. And then, whack! And the guy's like, damn birds, and he hits the windshield wiper, and there goes my mom mixed with duck fecal matter through the air to be run over by rush hour traffic. I thought it was the funniest damn thing I heard. And this person is telling me this story. I am laughing uncontrollably to the point where tears are squirting out of my face. Because all I can say is, ring. And he's like, what's your problem? I'm like, come on, man, quack with me. He's like, no, get out of here. And so, now you hate my guts. Henry, you're talking about your dead mom. Ring. Come on, it's good. And so, that happened. Here's something else that happened. As I told you, I've been living in Nashville.